Start your week smiling with your friends, Kathy Zant and Michelle Frechette. It's time to get ready for some weekly motivation with WP Motivate. Happy Thursday, Kathy.
Happy Thursday, Michelle. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I have stuff to show you. I'm doing
Yep.
fine.
I have a couple things to show, but I have more things to talk about than to show. Oh,
Okay.
I just thought of another one too, so I had to write it on my list. So
Okay.
I was thinking today, I've just been going through a bit of a beginning of the year. Everything looks bleak. Like there's no more Christmas lights, there's no more Christmas music, like all that hype and that warmth and everything. And I look out my
Mhm.
window, I'm like, it's raining. The snow's even melted. Like it's just so dismal. And so I was
Yeah.
trying to think of we talked about like what are things that we enjoy and bring us joy. And like I got my nice warm slippers on my feet right now, that kind of stuff. But I got to thinking about things that like over time can bring joy. And one of the things that I guess I'm being very cryptic right now, I know that. But my parents both grew up in a time like the post World War II, every like dearth of things, right? Like everything was hard to come by. My dad was one of 11 kids. Like they had hand me down everything. Like you didn't get new stuff very often. And so I kind of grew up in homes where like, oh, it's free, take it, or oh, and so like everything was kind of hoarded and collected and that kind of stuff. And that led me on some interesting journeys over the years of collecting things. I know that was a really
Yeah.
long lead in for that, sorry, but I wanted to give the backstory. Of collecting things. Like when I was I told you I was going to tell you a story that's going to make you laugh. When I was in middle school, I thought rainbows were the most beautiful thing ever, and I wanted rainbow everything. Like I was not rainbow bright young. Like I was 14, 13, 14 years old. And suddenly every rainbow I saw in a magazine, I cut it out. I had a wall full of rainbows. I had no idea that it was part of the LGBTQ identity or anything like that. So
Hmm.
it had nothing to do with it was just they were pretty and I wanted them all over all. So much so that my friends called me Rainbow in junior
Oh,
high. I don't collect rainbows anymore. I love them, don't get me wrong, but I don't have like a collection of I don't have a rainbow wall anymore. But over the years, I've collected different things. In high school and college, I collected things with sheep on them. Like if it had a sheep
yeah.
on it, I wanted it. So I even had a bumper sticker that said "I break for lost sheep." I mean, like it was so dumb. People didn't call me sheep though. I don't want to start that. But I've got some collections as an adult too. But I want to ask you if you've had collections. I know you were gathering some to show me before we started recording.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, vinyl albums.
oh
Like
yeah.
I collected them. And then, I've moved like 1,000 times since I was a kid, but they always came with me. I remember I got into a fight with my mom and I'm like, I'm moving in with my friend. And so I like packed up all my vinyls. They went with me for like the 24 hours that I was mad at my mom and basically stayed overnight at Laura's house.
Can't leave those albums home. You gotta take them with you.
Yes, they all came with me because I was that mad. I packed up my albums. But my kids, like vinyl's a thing again. And so there I'm like, here's the vintage, I think my son he got the best going through the collection of like the good ones. He knew which ones were good and which ones weren't, and
Mm,
like let Claire have the ones, that he knew she would like David Bowie albums she kept, and there's a few other ones. He got the Pink Floyd The Wall, the original one from
nice.
when I was a kid, all that kind of stuff. So those I've kept. I've always kept all my music. I still have cassette tapes and CDs and all of that stuff, and they're all in like really good shape. Um, Rocks, Shasta.
Hmm.
When I lived in Mount Shasta, there's all the crystals and the crystal
Hmm.
stores and everything from all the hippies and the new agers and everything. Well, one of my friends, he was my neighbor, and he and I would just like sit on the front porch and chat and chat and chat. And he went off he would go anywhere. Like he wasn't scared of bears or mountain lions or anything. He would go hunting for rocks and he would find like just amazing things. So if he'd find something and he couldn't sell it, or maybe, and I think that was the thing. It's like, can't sell this one. I'll just give it to Cat. I moved from Mount Shasta with boxes and boxes and boxes of rocks. So I have like this is
Oh, that's
pretty
cool.
hefty piece of black tourmaline. And I got to know the names of everything too.
Oh, that's
And
awesome.
so this is Shasta serpentine. I've got tons of pieces like this. And this
Oh, that's
stuff would
gorgeous.
like
Is it
go for
green?
some cash. Yeah, it's green.
It looks green, yeah.
And it has to get treated, otherwise apparently it's got asbestos in it and stuff. So he
Oh, wow.
treated it and like sealed it. And
Oh,
then I've got
cool.
one that he made and he put a like little fairy on it.
I see it. Oh, that's really cool.
So I've got tons of rocks that he would just like find, like rose quartz, and I don't know what this green one is, but it's pretty. So it's and then I don't know what this one is, but
Oh,
it's
that's
pretty
hematite.
and black
I
and
reckon
heavy.
it
Is
that
it?
one's that's hematite, yeah. It's probably magnetic as well.
It's very heavy. I don't know if
Yep.
it's magnetic. Yeah, it's not sticking to anything metal
Okay.
over here. But yeah, I have tons. There's tons in the bedroom. I've got big pieces, little pieces. Black obsidian. This stuff is
Mm,
like so sharp you could like slice things with it. So I've got
yeah.
my rock collection. And because they were
I
all
love
like
that.
gifts, like I didn't sometimes I'd find stuff. I have a few pieces
Hmm.
because just it's volcanic, right? So
Hmm.
I would go down to the lake with my dog and like the water would be coming in filling up the lake. And so I'd go like rock hunting and see what the creek had brought down. And I
Yeah.
could find all kind if something was interesting or pretty, then I would just bring it home. So I have a ton that I found too. But they're just like and every one of them has like a little bit of meaning to it. So yeah, I
Mm.
collect rocks.
Well, first of all, I love that. I think that's awesome. You have to sometimes be careful when you tell somebody what your collection is because then you will get so many gifts of that collection that you're like inundated and you don't know where to put everything. There's a woman on TikTok who's the Oz historian, and she has entire rooms of her house, like even the floor is covered with all the Wizard of Oz stuff that she has. So
Oh wow.
I don't have any collections that are anywhere near that just to say. But I do get gifted a lot of Wonder Woman memorabilia because I do enjoy
Yeah.
the concept of Wonder Woman. I'm not a comic person. I don't like I do watch the movies, but I haven't like got I don't have I have two I think just two comic books that are Wonder Woman that somebody gave me. It's more about the idea of who Wonder Woman is that I really like. But I have, I have little I have this right here, and you push the button and
Yeah.
it says you're a champion, like that kind of stuff. I have
Oh,
a bunch
fun.
of my favorite are the Funko Pops. And
Mm.
I've got a bunch of Funko Pops. I have one that's even just Christmas, and that stays in with my Christmas stuff, that kind of thing. But the collection that I want to tell you about that will also, I think as a mom, you'll understand this as much as like it was exciting as it is heartbreaking as it is. There's a story coming. So when my daughter was first born, she was just a couple months old, and I had to go to central Pennsylvania for my great grandmother's, no, I don't know, great grandmother, my daughter's great grandmother's funeral. And so we went down there. My great Aunt Ethel was still alive in her 90s and got to hold Lydia. So we had this like fourth generation kind of thing going on, which is pretty cool. But I decided that I wanted to start a collection for her at 3 months old that then could grow with her and that she'd have this amazing collection. But I wanted it also to be something that didn't take up a ton of space.
Hmm.
So I started collecting thimbles for her. So
Oh,
like her
cool.
first thimble was from Pennsylvania. And then people would learn that she collected thimbles. And my dad used to travel a lot all over the world. So she has thimbles from Thailand and thimbles from, I don't know, Peru, and like literally thimbles from all over. And then I used to subscribe to a catalog that was Gimbal and Sons. I don't even think it exists anymore. And they had so many thimbles in there. And I would order special thimbles for Christmas. And I'd look on eBay to complete all of these different things. And so I bought thimble shelves, which are these a special shelf that are little, it's really shallow, and you put them on the wall, or you can get shadow boxes and things like that. So I've got a ton of that stuff for her over the years. And I always displayed it. I don't have, actually don't have it up right now. There's a story to that too. But anyway, I always displayed it wherever we lived, that kind of thing. So then she moves at 22, she moves to Buffalo and she's out on her own. And I said, "Oh, do you want to take your thimbles? Do you want me to pack them up with you?" She goes, "Nah, I don't want them. You can have them, Mom." So, like, that was the heartbreak of like all these years and money of collecting these for you. And then
Yeah.
she said something that really, like, she said, "I think it was more for you than it was for me. I think they're your memories, not mine." And yeah, I was like, you know what? She's right. because she was
Yeah.
so little, she didn't give a care about it, right? So and she
Mhm.
thinks they're fun, and when I have had them up in other houses, she loves to come and look at them and remember when I got this one, I remember that one. But it's not something she wants to hang in her own house. It's a memory she wants to continue with me. So while
Yeah,
they
that's so sweet.
they're still in a box. I've been here 3 years. But I know that while they're going on, I can't do it by myself, and I have to have somebody who wants to spend a couple hours with me because there's close to 500 thimbles in the collection, and so it's a real effort to figure out where to put them and then unwrap them and put them up, and they have to go in a certain order because if they're similar, like I have ones that like Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, that kind of stuff, those all have to
Yeah.
go together. There's a nativity scene, those have to go together, like, you can't just willy-nilly throw them on the wall. So yeah, so that's the one story that's like, yeah, I guess she's right. I really did it more for me than for, I mean, I thought I was doing it for her, right? But I was doing it to build those memories. And she doesn't hate it. She just wants to share them with me here as opposed to take them with her. And like I tell
Yeah.
her, she's the only kid. I'm not married. Everything in this condo is hers someday. So she like it or lump
Yeah.
it. It's not gonna be hers again anyway.
Yeah, she'll have those like, you know, way
Yeah.
into the future. She'll keep those as a because of the memories that
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such an anchor there of connection.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So that's kind of funny. And then of course I do Lego sets. I have a lot of Legos. And I wouldn't say I'm a Lego
Yeah.
collector as much as I'm a Lego builder. And when you're a Lego builder, you become a Lego collector. And so you can see Lego head over my shoulder right now in the background
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And you can't see them because they're in front of me, but I've got Legos all over the place. And
Yeah.
it's something fun to do on a nasty weekend, and I don't want to go out or do anything else, is put on a movie and sit and do some Lego sets. So, or a Lego
Yeah.
set, depending. So, I got
Yeah,
about
definitely.
4 kits to do still. But
Fun.
yeah. So, do your kids collect anything?
Um, Claire used to collect like lots of horse stuff, but
Hmm.
she's now that she's a teenager, her room, like stuff just comes downstairs and then I have to like kind of go through. I'm like, I
What's
thought we
this?
liked these. She's grown up and
Yeah.
things aren't, horse toys. She wants the horse, not the horse toys. So
Yes.
things
Yes.
change
I
as our
want the
kids
actual
grow
Black
up.
Beauty, not the little plastic figurine of Black
Yeah,
Beauty.
exactly. Yes. Yeah, there's yeah, my husband is such a pack rat, so he's, and obviously the stuff isn't as important to him anymore. So I have to go through things, and there's bins and bins and bins of stuff he just never unpacked. And so it's interesting to see, like, I know he went to Russia, but he never showed me all this stuff he got in Russia. It just like ended up in this bin, and it's like kind of cool stuff. So
Hmm.
like I've got, well, I can't really see it, but the little Russian nesting doll, like
Oh yeah.
it's cool. So now his stuff's becoming my stuff. And like t-shirts from like St. Petersburg, Russia, like the soccer club. This is kind of a cool shirt. And he never showed me. Like we were together when he went to Russia. It wasn't like
Hmm.
but it's yeah,
Isn't
so
that
there's all
funny?
this like weird stuff. I'm like, wonder what other things happened in Russia that
Hmm.
he didn't tell me about. Who knows? I'll
Exactly.
just have to guess at all the rest of it. But yeah, there's all this stuff like
Yeah.
weird stuff. Yeah. The Russia stuff has just been popping up lately. It's so funny because Claire and I have been like going to the gym together and so I make joke, I'm like, I'm feeling strong like bull, and she's like strong like Russian bear. I used to call my husband the American bear because he's like a bigger guy, right? And so
Hmm.
they would call him the American bear. So this Russia
That's
stuff's
so
popping up lately.
funny.
It's kind of funny.
That is funny. I think it's interesting. I wonder if it's generational too. I wonder if as like generations passed down to if collecting
Yeah.
things is less important or more important. I know, but I mean, I follow some TikTokers who are, in their 20s and 30s who are like pin collectors for Disney, like the Disney pins
Mm,
and things like that. So I think there are still collectors in the world. I just wonder if I
yeah.
don't know. I wonder what makes somebody want
Like
to collect
photo
things.
albums.
Yeah,
Like who would ever have a photo album again? I mean, I still have mine when like I was a kid and in high
same.
school and college and stuff. I've got like actual photos that I even developed myself in photography
Same.
classes and
Me too.
but my phone. And I,
Hmm.
even when I get a new phone, it's like all the photos from the last, 6, 7 years are still there. And like I still have,
Hmm.
hard drives full of photos, but I'm never gonna have a photo like physical album, like, oh,
Yeah.
here's Claire's new boyfriend. Let's sit down and look at all the pictures of her.
Yeah,
That's never
exactly.
gonna happen.
Exactly. Although you can, like, there are some things online, like as a Shutterfly and some of those other ones where you can make books out of your photos on your phone and have actual physical books and things like that. And I'm like, I keep thinking about that. Like, you see all the pictures behind me on my nature photography. Like that, I could make a coffee table book of my own photography, but it feels narcissistic on the one hand.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm gonna sell it because who's gonna buy it? You know what I mean? But on the other hand, it kind of be fun. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
But
it's
and I
fun.
and I asked you this before before we started recording too. I I'm trying to be better about this. I don't buy them as often anymore, but it's really hard in our industry not to collect domain names because as soon as you think of something really good, and it's
Hmm.
available, like you buy it, but then you continue to pay for it year after year. I've dumped a lot of them. I put them right back out into the world. But there's one that I
Yeah.
refuse to let go of. And I even talked about it before. And I had people that are willing to work with me on it, but I haven't had time to actually implement it. But wpwiki.org, I own that domain and I've owned it for like
Yeah.
10 years, which means I've spent over $200 on name renewals on that domain alone. And
Wow.
I haven't developed it yet.
Cloudflare. Transfer your domains to Cloudflare. It's like $9 a domain. They don't like mark them up, and oh my
Mm.
gosh, everything. I'm just trying to move everything over to Cloudflare because it's just so much cheaper. But
Oh
yeah, my
yeah.
husband, same thing. It's like, and I'm scared to like he's never going to use some of these domains. Like I remember I was sitting at that breakfast table when you came up with this idea, but I'm still just like, it's so hard to let go of them. And
Hmm. Yeah, I've
and then I
registered.
don't even know like what's LinkedIn. Like, is he like, where's it even? I think I've got all the hosting figured
Where does
out. I
that
mean, I
go
ran
through?
most of his
And
stuff, but oh my gosh.
yeah.
And he used to do products like DVDs and stuff like that. And so
Hmm.
every product he would buy a domain name for it. And I'm like, why don't you just put them all under your domain and just like have
Yeah.
like a what is it? Just like a page underneath it, a landing page, and sell it from there. And then you have, oh yeah, that sounds like it's a lot easier than buying domains. I'm just like, yeah, 75 domains later. So many. I don't have that many. The one that I wish I had kept is I had an online journal in the 90s. I started in the late 90s. I went,
Hmm.
and it was like my playground for HTML and stuff. And like, oh wow, look at this new CSS stuff. I'm gonna try it. And I let that domain go long ago and was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this anymore. And somebody bought it and they've wanted $2,000 for it back. And I'm not going to pay that for my old journal. Now somebody's gonna go look for it. Go ahead, find it. I dare you.
No, but you yourself could go on the Wayback Machine and still pull out the stuff that was on it if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Me
But
bitching
yeah.
about politics. I was really, really heated about politics at the time. And
That's
we'll just
awesome.
say Bush the Younger was not my favorite person on the planet. So there's a lot of Bush bashing. I look back at it and I'm just like, what yeah, just spitting into the pool there. Like, who cares? A lot
When
of the stuff I'm just,
I was, oh gosh, how old was I? 12, I think, when I got my first like diary as it was a birthday present. I got a diary as a birthday gift. I can still picture the cover on it
oh
actually.
yeah.
And I am not a good journalist. Like after like 3 or 4 days, I think maybe that entire diary in the course of a year, I wrote 10 or 15 times in. But I remember one entry, and I don't have this book anymore, so why this sticks with me, I don't know. But talk about angsty teenager, right? Like preteen. I wrote in there something about Charlie was my cat. I said, I love Charlie. I think Charlie's the only thing in the whole world that understands me. It was a cat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I remember
So
feeling that about cats too. Like, yeah,
I
he's the
wish I
only
could be an
cat that
angsty
understands
teenager
me.
some days
Oh
still.
my gosh. Maybe I still am. My inner angsty teenager. I'll
There
just
you
like make
go.
peace with her. There she is.
She's still there. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yes.
The funny thing is when I got rid of like all because I had like stacks of paper journals that I was carrying around like from state to state moving and Shasta, I'm like, started looking at them and I'm like, I don't want my kids to ever find this crap. I'm just like
Yep.
so much angsty BS. So I put them all into the wood stove. But as I was burning them, I was reading them. And some of
Mhm.
them were just like, oh my gosh. And I mean, I was journaling like pretty young, but I journaled about politics. I like wrote this big long thing about Alan Greenspan. I'm like, what was wrong with me? Like seriously, why was I writing about Alan Greenspan? There's something wrong with me.
Oh, that
Like
is funny.
everybody else is, I mean, there was stupid stuff in there about da 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 said this to be, all the typical
Yeah.
teenage drama. But I was like very concerned about this new person coming into the Fed that Ronald Reagan had just put in, and what
You
is
could
wrong with me?
you could honestly say like there's a whole subreddit on Reddit about like called I'm not like other girls, right? But they're exactly like other girls. But you could at that point say I'm not like other girls, and it was true.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like I was probably
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, Johnny Depp is so dreamy. And you're like, that Greenspan's gotta go.
Yeah, I don't know. I really thank the internet for saving me from becoming a DC policy wonk because that's where I was headed if I had not found the internet. And
Oh
then
goodness.
I was looking for something like when I first met my husband, like 20 years ago, and was, deep into coding and all this stuff at that point. And I had actually journaled, the online journal that I have still. I was journaling about security vulnerabilities that I was finding in online applications. It was just like, I'm
Oh gosh, what a
I'm
geek.
not normal. I am not normal. Yeah. Oh
Normal's
well.
overrated. I've never been
Yeah.
normal.
What? Well, here's the thing. You know what I don't try to be something you're not. Like being
Exactly.
that unique bizarreness that you are, because
Hmm.
the things you collect, the things that are important to you, the things you write down, the things you remember, it all just like really lets you know who you really are. And that is there's no competition for that. There's nothing anybody can take away from you when you own
Hmm.
that. This
It's
is
so
my
true.
therapy for the day. I'm owning my weirdness.
I'm gonna do that too. I'm taking up the cause right after you. I'll own mine as also. I mean, I pretty much own it on the daily because whatever. But it's also as we get older, it's easier to do that, right? Because I don't
Yeah.
conform to peer pressure like I used to. You don't either. Like, I mean, I think very early on did not conform to peer pressure in my life. But the older you get, the less you care about how other people perceive you, I guess is what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So
Oh, to be young again and
I'm
to
telling
know that
you.
at age 20, I'd tell you what, I'd live a lot of things differently. But guess what? I get to decide that now. And so do
Hmm.
you. And so does everybody listening.
That's right. Absolutely. So if you are listening and you've made it this far, we want to know what you collect. Tell us, is it spoons? Is it World War II memorabilia? Is it rocks? Is it thimbles? I don't know. Whatever it is. Whatever you collect, we want to know all about it. So even reply with some photos. We want to see your collections too. When I'm in the office next, I'll take a picture of my Wonder Woman wall and I'll share that. I usually share my Wapu pins. Oh, that's the other thing. I have like well over
Oh,
probably
yeah.
400 Wapu pins. I forgot about that, but
And
that's
and WordCamp t-shirts.
I actually
Tons of
never take
WordCamp
the. I
t-shirts.
always give. They never have my size, so I always give away my shirts, but.
Yeah.
It's okay. But I keep the pins, the Wapu pins. And if you have a Wapu pin and you need to get it needs a home, I'll just DM me and I'll give you my address because it'll go on my bulletin board.
There you go.
Anyway, well, thanks for being with us so far. I have ideas for next week. I'll talk to Kathy about some things that popped in my head. You never know what we're going to talk about next, but we'll see you next week on WP Motivate. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
This has been WP Motivate with Kathy Zant and Michelle Frechette. To learn more or to sponsor us, go to WPMotivate.com.